Hello everyone, my name is Shubhashish and you're watching today's daily news analysis. And as I said earlier, we are going to focus on the mains 2022 exam. Now these are not typically the headlines, these are the topics from the headlines itself. Okay. So first we have Uddhav Thackeray resigns after Supreme Court denies stay on floor test. Fine, so we have it again. This is about the defection issue. In fact, there was an opinion also on the defection, but I'm not covering it. Yesterday I had said, so you can work on that itself, and beyond this, you don't have to study defection again and again. Next, we have the news on GST. So government hikes GST for household items. So yesterday only we discussed that the GST council is to meet, and they would be discussing or working upon the need to rationalize the GST taxes. So the decision was taken to most of it, the household things that we use, their GST has been increased, and certain other items the GST has come down. Will not be asked actually. Okay, now this is important in the sense that GST has been a hot favorite of UPSC, and twice it has been asked. So one, we have a question in 2018 and then in 2019. So in 2019, it asked us about the rationale of introduction of the GST. So that is one question over here. The second, in 2018, they asked was which all indirect taxes, enumerate the indirect taxes that have been subsumed. You know, various taxes like sales tax, excise duty, etc., etc. Enumerate the different indirect taxes that have been subsumed under the GST. So again, broadly, it is a definition of GST and the taxes that will be coming under this, very categorically speaking. So this is the kind of theme we can expect a question where we are required to know about the rationale of a GST, and then already a question has been asked on enumeration of the GST. So again, if we feel we can have a question on the similar lines, and beyond this, since there has been a number of years, plus a GOM, group of ministers, was formed recently, which was to study or to review the reforms in the GST. So we need to work on the need to rationalize the GST. What reforms have to be brought in. So this is the article that I feel you should read, and this will help you. So India tax crisis, why GST needs rationalization. It is New Indian Express, not Indian Express. New Indian Express over here. Okay. Next we have 12,000 buses on city roads by 2024, says Delhi Chief Minister. Why I'm doing this is one, urban issues. So from the point of view of GS3, I'm interested. Then again, we are getting an idea on the focus on public transport, the focus on promotion of green jobs, so climate change and jobs. Then when we're talking about green jobs, there is also a reference of introduction of FAME, the scheme named FAME, FAME, that is faster adoption and manufacturing of electric and hybrid vehicles. Okay. So I was looking at a previous year mock question actually in one of the test series, and again, the measures taken or incentives for promotion of the electric vehicles. So this is a theme. Electric vehicle again is a very, very emerging hot topic, so we can correlate over here. Okay, so this is there over here. Further, this is again interesting, urban farming plan. So Delhi cabinet also approved smart urban farming initiative. So in Delhi, and in fact many of the cities, Delhi again very congested, lack of availability of land. So they are looking at how we can have urban farming that is suitable for urban areas where land is limited, maybe terrace farming or something like that. So we need to promote that. So urban cities, and especially in the present scenario where land is going to be more and more scarce, how we can leverage urban farming. So this is an important theme. Again, naturally this will come under GS3, and GS3 also includes agriculture also. So that is there. It tells us about awareness workshops and 600 entrepreneurships, and it says that about 1/3 of the food should actually be grown within the city itself, which the city consumes. Okay, now building on this, we can also have the theme of urban forestry. And you must actually look at YouTube. You can get a YouTube video, Urban Forestry Singapore. So they have been working on having urban forest within this buildings itself. So this is a very, very important theme, and again, it can be asked in your GS3 mains paper. Okay, for Delhi's queer people, queer means odd actually. Queer people, metro not an easy ride. So it is a reference of the LGBTQ plus members, transgenders. So they face bias and harassment. So this is only with reference to metro, we get certain issues, and we have to build on this. First, let us look at the metro issue. So one is naturally during the time of frisking, they have to decide if they are, female, women and men section. So the frisking that takes place. Then they get judgmental looks. Then there are no separate toilets. They are required to have separate toilets, but that is not there. And there is lack of sensitization, especially amongst the ground staff that is there. So that makes them all the more uncomfortable. Plus implementation of existing laws. Which laws are we talking about? Typically, the protection of transgender rights bill. So this is the thing. Okay, so we have some issues over here that is there in the metro. We believe the metro should be more progressive, plus it is Delhi also. So naturally, now we have to look at it more from the macro perspective, larger picture, overall issues and challenges that the transgenders experience. So that is a very, very important theme. So one is this. Other thing is the protection of transgender rights bill that was introduced, I think around 2014, 2016. So that law is already there. Now again, this law is being proposed in the form of a bill. So some amendments are to be done. So again, it is there in the news. Okay, so protection of transgender rights bill and analysis on that topic. So analysis of the law, the issues and challenges, shortcomings. That law is already there. But then people are still facing certain troubles, so that issue we can look at. Okay, so and one more thing to this we can add is what are the views of the Supreme Court. So now when we say this, it is coming from the point of view of GS2 social justice. Okay, now I have a mock question for you. Highlight the various problems faced by the transgender community in India. To what extent the proposed Transgender Protection of Rights Bill addresses these concerns? We have some questions where they ask us about some issues and challenges. Then somehow we have required to close it. We have to, whatever bill, whatever law is in there, in the current, we are supposed to write them, the features, and say how it will address the problems over there. We can also give out the shortcomings also, because it says to what extent. So it cannot be an all complete solution. There are going to be some shortcomings also. I'll post this. This is the analysis of the bill, the latest edition. So I'll post it on the comment section. Now this is the judgment. This is known as the famous Nalsa case, and following which actually this law had come into the picture. Okay, so Nalsa is about legal services to be provided at affordable cost or at free. So Nalsa. So in this case, it was actually about providing the legal services for the transgender, and then all those issues of the experiences faced by the transgenders were discussed in the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court gave the following directive: legal recognition of third gender, right? Or not male or female, but also a third gender, or the person should have a choice as to what they want to be part of. Legal recognition for persons transitioning within male and female binary. Public health and sanitation should be emphasized. Social economic rights should be provided, and obviously public awareness should be brought into, it should be improved to bring about an attitudinal change. Okay. In fact, we can actually correlate this with GS4 also. GS4 has the topics ethics, attitude and emotional intelligence. So attitude is how we perceive something, and emotional intelligence is how we manage the emotions of ourselves and of others. So this is one of the examples. Okay, now we have Uttarakhand government. Naturally, this is the government ad, and students who are preparing for Uttarakhand PCS examination. So for them, they can take a screenshot, and you have the list of initiatives that they have taken. You really don't have to visit the budget and all those things. For getting the schemes, you can get it from here itself. Okay, this is interesting. This is rarely this concept comes. So this was the opinion over here. Okay, so I have framed a question. This is actually, and I have not framed it. This is from the insights. So what are the payments for ecosystem services? Evaluate the feasibility of PES projects in India for conserving and sustainable use of biodiversity. So this article is telling us about this particular article. So this question was posted today only. So payments for ecosystem services. It is saying that private and public finance is not being mobilized enough for payments of ecosystem services. Now the question naturally arises, what is this payments for ecosystem services? And what if, if it is asked, how do we write this? So thereby this question over here. Okay, I'll explain the concept. Definition is there with you, and I want you to read a page. I'll post it in the comment section. Okay, not this article, there's a separate article. I'll post it. Okay, so you know what? Imagine a situation. There is this forested area, and there's a water that is coming by, and there are people who are living in the plains. People who are maybe urban or agrarian, whatever, plain area, like how the people live. So agriculture based plus urban. Okay. So naturally from forest, there is, imagine there is this entire ecosystem, and there are these forests, there are these, from forest you get the wood. Then there is water that is flowing from the streams, and then ultimately the people are getting benefits out of it. And with the forest over here, naturally with the forest, the people are it's overall it is leading to good environment overall here. So what these people over here typically would do is, people who are living over there, they would cut down the forest, they will remove certain forest, sell it into the marketplace. Or they would also, what they could do is, they could say that we want this land to be cleared and we want cities to come, development to take place over here, whatever. So payments for ecosystem services, what this says is that these people over here, they are enjoying certain services from this ecosystem. These people are enjoying certain benefits. So these people, it is in their interest that the ecosystem is conserved, it is protected. So they can provide them some monetary benefits, some financial incentives, so that they don't do any other activity. Rather, they are focused on protecting the local environment. They don't cut the firewood. They don't spoil the drain over here. The water that is flowing, they protect it. They don't throw their waste or whatever. So the water pollution does not take place. So incentivize them by giving payments. So that will have two roles over here. So one is, naturally conservation is taking place, and the other thing is that it will lead to poverty alleviation. These people, we would expect them to be poorer. So when they're getting income by doing this, so naturally poverty alleviation will be sorted. So poverty would be addressed. So these are the two goals of payment for ecosystem services. So it is an incentive based model. So this is an incentive based mechanism over here. Okay. Now this was a very simple kind of example. What about the situation of, let's say, farmers in Punjab, and when they burn the stubble, Punjab, Haryana, this region over here, when they burn the stubble, and the people in Delhi face trouble because of this in the urban areas. So maybe to change or alter their practices, we can have the payment for ecosystem services. So something to that extent also can be worked upon. And I'll add to this certain other points. We already have concepts like ecotourism that is coming up. Okay. Now coming to this payments for ecosystem services, coming back to this topic. So there are already systems. For example, there are systems of charges. If you use a certain service, you have to pay a certain charge. Maybe you are going to, let's say, Rishikesh or any Shimla or whichever place. So you go, you have to pay a permit, go by a permit. Or people be given subsidies. People who are locals over there, they be given subsidies to not do certain activities which harm the local environment. And market friction reductions, maybe impose certain liabilities or something, so that, or put certain restrictions so that the local people do not engage in any activity that harms the local environment. So these are certain mechanisms over here which this article also mentions. So we have the examples of pesticide levies, admission fees to national parks, hunting and fishing permit fees, so if you're going for hunting or whatever, and the trade in energy saving certificates. Now for this, we have the following things that are there. One is direct regulation. So government imposing a regulation, you can do this, you cannot do this, all those things. Then public provision, private contracts, a company or an individual can directly come into contract. So without the intervention of the government, the people who would be benefited, they directly come into contract with the local people and they make this arrangement. So private contracts. And we can also have vocational and educational approaches where people are educated, people at the local level in the ecosystem are educated and made aware of the importance of the ecosystem, and they voluntarily reform their approach. So these are certain things over here. Okay, now to have such a thing, naturally somebody is making you a payment for the ecosystem services. When this payment is being made, naturally there are certain things that have to be done. So if the payment is being done, if somebody is making payment for people to conserve that ecosystem, they have to adhere to that also. So there has to be some sort of a performance contract. So there has to be performance contract, and at the same time there has to be some sort of a local monitoring mechanism. Right, so that should be there. Then there should be some mechanism to raise capital. It should not just be the domain of the government. Yes, there should be awareness, there should be education, but there should be a mechanism whereby private and public entities can directly interact and make the payments for the ecosystem services. So that should be there. So now coming back to the question, so what are the payments for ecosystem services? I think you can get this definition over here. Just add the aspect of incentive based scheme. So add that word over here, right? So this thing has to come clearly. Second is feasibility of these PEAS projects. So I think after writing this over here, you can give out certain examples where we need this PES kind of things. And then you can explain what are the concerns or issues in implementing it. So from the article itself, I have lack of research, then lack of mechanisms like performance contracts, local area monitoring, that is very, very important, and poor mobilization of private and public finances. So these are certain shortcomings over here. Then this article tells us, so this concludes the article, then this answer. Now this article tells us that in other countries like Latin America region or African region, so there this has been successful. Kenya, it has been successful, but in India it is not becoming successful. So this article does not go more beyond this. We can just make a reference that we can learn from the international experiences like that of the Latin America, South Africa, Kenya's wildlife conservation program, so that you can write and conclude the answer suitably. Okay, next is solving problems through Internet of Things. So Internet of Things is, I think, anything that you have these days, your mobile phones connected with your smartwatch. So anything that is connected with your internet nowadays, smart ACs, Alexa, all of these are examples of Internet of Things. Your automobile is again may have certain sensors which tell how many kilometers it has run. It may be relaying information to the service center and saying that your service is due or there is this fault. So Internet of Things. So things connected with internet, sensors connected with internet and relaying information. Now I don't want to read this article, and you also don't have to do it. But yes, this itself is a theme that can be asked in main. So what do you understand by Internet of Things? What are its various applications? Right? So something to that effect. And when I say applications, it means solving problems. Okay. Next is rupee weekends past 79 on dollar buying by foreign portfolio investors and oil firms. Okay, it's very simple. Naturally, rupee is depreciating. Oil is becoming all the more expensive. Demand for oil is there, and naturally, the oil companies, first of all, oil companies, they will have to buy more of dollars. They need dollars because they are buying the crude in dollar terms. So naturally, because of this, the rupee would depreciate, or dollar would appreciate in comparison to rupee. So that had to take place. Then, since our rupee is depreciating, plus there are certain economic headwinds in India and all across the world actually. So there were people who had invested in a country, outsiders, foreigners who invested in a country. So when a foreigner invests in a country, naturally, let's say they have dollars, but dollars are not usable in India. So they will buy assets in rupees. So they can buy shares, they can buy FDs, whatever, they buy it in dollars, they sell the dollars, convert them into rupees and then buy the assets. Now because the dollar is appreciating and the rupee is depreciating, so the overall investment value is also depreciating, because at the end of the day, this person is living in foreign country would actually want their assets back converted back into the dollar terms. So maybe you're getting good 10% return on your investments, but if your currency is depreciating, you may be making a loss at the end of the day. So because of this, because of the currency depreciation, plus the US Fed, the European Reserve Bank, all of them deciding to increase their Fed rates, the inflations are increasing, so they are increasing the rates, so they can get better returns plus stability of currency in their homeland. So they are withdrawing from India. Okay, so this is there. Then we have Ultratech said to pay for Russian coal in Chinese yuan. I think Russia-China axis. So this is Russia. Then we have Ulta Sea. So this is China. Right? So China, and then comes India. Okay. So Russia and China has been having very good relationship, and a lot of so what they're doing is, Chinese are doing is that since Russia ruble is banned because of the sanctions, they are not usable in international trade. So they're saying, Indians, if you want something from us, you want coal, you want oil, whatever you want, you have to pay us in the Chinese currency. You can do that. So that rather than a rupee ruble relationship, they're saying we will trade in yuan, and yuan is gaining more of traction because China is the exporter of the world, and they can start insisting that pay us in a Chinese currency, that is yuan. That can also happen. Okay. Moving downwards, we have job confidence in China, lowest since 2009. So as per an index, we don't have a Chinese index, that's all it mentions over here. So job confidence in China, lowest. So it is a reflection, it's an indication that says that the Chinese economy is not doing well. The jobless rate is increasing in China. Right, so this is it. Now moving on to the international section. So Turkey puts Sweden-Finland's NATO deal to test. Okay, so we are going to have, after this war, during this war actually, Ukraine-Russia war that is taking place, so Sweden and Finland also felt a bit insecure that tomorrow, like Ukraine, our fate could also be very similar. So they have decided, they have showcased their interest in joining NATO over here. So this transition is going to take place, and naturally Russia is not liking it. So Turkey had some objection. That's all we want to know. We don't really want to go into Turkey-Sweden relationship, not part of a syllabus. Okay. Now, Afghanistan had a very, very bad earthquake. So a disaster. Anyways, there was a humanitarian crisis in Afghanistan already. So now we have Taliban US officials to meet amid quake relief efforts. So maybe because of this, in light of this, we can have negotiations starting to take place between the two countries, even though it may be in the pretext of just the earthquake. Zelensky, Ukraine's president, asks for more arms and money from NATO. And next we have the US to bolster its military in Europe. Now, because of this Ukrainian crisis also, so US wants to be more present, more vocal in the European region. So that has been its overall interest. It's doing well for them. Okay, in a first, NATO lays out challenges from China. So up till now, NATO, as we know, NATO is a grouping that was targeting at Russia. But for the first time, it has given a reference of challenges that were emanating from China over here. Okay, so this is the first. Normally, they would say China, not a big competitor of us, not a big challenger. Russia is the biggest challenger. But the first time, they have mentioned about the Chinese. So that is a very significant development. Okay, so this concludes our daily news analysis. So thank you for streaming in to IASPrimers with me, Shubhashish. Bye bye, take care, and all the best.